ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। To that Arjuna who was completely devastated, Bhagavan Krishna gives an opportunity to that Arjuna to speak his emotions out. Having heard him patiently and how emotionally he had made a wrong decision of not participating in the war, which was his responsibility, that for which he had prepared meticulously for about 12 years, trying to acquire all different kinds of Divya Astra and Shastra. Such Arjuna, who completely lost his focus, misunderstood or wrongly understood his responsibility and wanted to run away. To that Arjuna, in the second chapter, Bhagavan gives a very clear logic for each one of his reasonings as to why they don't stand on a firm ground of reasoning. And then he says that the one who performs in the field of karma with a detached disposition, because karma is something that has to be performed and it has to be done with the karma yoga attitude. One would reach to a balanced state where the buddhi is in samasthiti, sthita prajna otherwise. After listening to Bhagavan, just like how we would have made a mistake in not understanding that these two are sequential paths, Arjuna also makes the same mistake and says, Bhagavan, you yourself say that this, in the last 18 shlokas, that there are these two paths, and within these two paths, the later path that which you have suggested is a better one. Why are you forcing me into ghora karma? Tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojayasi keshava. In fact, I don't think I came in with any confusion. It is your words that carry confusion. Please clarify and come with one good method, that which is the absolute good for me. Yena shreya, that which is the sreshta marga, that is what you tell me. To that Arjuna, Bhagavan starts giving. He says, there are two kinds of paths in this world. Lokesmin dvividha nishtha. Jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. That which is called the Jnana Yoga, which is indicated as the Sankhya Shastra. Sankhya meaning Atma Anatma Vivechanam. And having that clarity about what is Atma and what is Anatma, having dispassion towards that which is Anatma, that knowledge which gives you this clarity is the Sankhya, that is called the Jnana Yoga, and the second one is called the Karma Yoga. And this was given Pura Prokta. In the very beginning of this creation, I had given this wisdom to the very beginner, the Prajapati. But if you think that giving up the action on the outside in itself is called Naishkarmya Siddhi, you will not reach either the inner world of peace nor the outer world of success. You would be a disaster in both fields. And anyways, the mind which carries so many different desires, because it is prompted by our own tendencies from within, though I try to block my mind, block my activities on the outside, but the mind is still thinking, contemplating, evaluating inside, trying to revel in that which I have stopped myself from engaging, it would be called as mithyachara. Mithyachara, a hypocrite. Why would you want to be such a hypocrite? This is what we had seen yesterday. So, today moving forward, if that is the kind of hypocrisy, then what is the right way out? What is the right path? So he says in the 7th shloka, please repeat after me. Yastvindriyani manasa niyamyarabhaterjuna कर्मेन्द्रियैः कर्मयोगम् असक्तः स विशिष्यते. Hopefully everybody had their evening tea, because the volume in your chanting was very obviously absent, not even low. There was only one volume that was coming from this side. The rest of it, maybe you have already started meditating on it. Let's get into it. Please repeat loudly. It's a good opportunity to learn the right pronunciation. Yaha tu indriyani manasa niyamya आरभते अर्जुन कर्मेन्द्रियैहि कर्मयोगम असक्तः सह विशिष्यते. यह तु इंद्रियाणि मनसा नियम्य, that one who, having controlled their organs of perception with their mind, niyamya, controlled, and then arabhate, they start, karmendriyaihi karma yogam, through their karmendriyas perform the various activities that they are engaged in with the attitude of karma yoga. Such asaktaha, such unattached one, detached one, saha visishyate, they excel. As an individual, they excel. Right in this 2 lines, the entire crux of karma yoga is again stated in a very beautiful, simple language. What do we have to do? Karna kya hai? Simple step. 5 organs of perception. Are they under the control of the mind? Our own mind. We love to control others and their behavior. Do we have control over our own organs of perception? Those organs of perception which are necessary. There is nothing wrong with them. Sometimes it happens. The morning Upanishad class and the evening Bhagavad Gita class, both of them have a similar thought pattern running right now. The organs of perception are absolutely doing nothing wrong in perceiving the world outside, because that is how they have been created. See, if they were created for some other purpose and you are misusing it, there is a problem you can understand. The eye's job is to see. The ear's job is to hear. The tongue's job is to taste. The nose job is to smell. The skin's job is to feel the touch. Are they not doing their job? They are maintaining their swadharma. They do not take up paradharma. The eyes by mistake don't take up the ear's job. The ears by mistake don't take up the mouth job. Supposing I have to taste, I don't pour it into my ears. Or vice versa. They do their job. They are designed for knowing the world outside. Paranchikhani vyatruna swayambhu. Swayambhu. That Brahmaji, when he created this creation and us in this format, the organs of perception were created. Paranchikhani. Khani, the Indriyas, were created to see, perceive the outside. So there is nothing wrong in it. But is it channelized in the right direction? See, we all drive vehicles, two-wheeler, four-wheeler. The vehicle is created for driving outside, right? But then the driver should also know. That is what is the license meant for, that you have to go through that test. And what does that test evaluate? That you know all the components. Most importantly, it's not just driving, it is also to know when to stop appropriately, so that you don't become a nuisance to anybody and nobody else becomes a nuisance to you. Similarly, these organs of perception are made for viewing the world outside. But just because the world has all the variety, I don't have to get distracted because of it. If the input that goes into my mind and evaluated through the buddhi, that input itself is overwhelming, then I am creating a trouble unnecessarily. And with the likes and dislikes, the mind loves to run through these organs of perception and action into the field of likes and dislikes. More specifically, that where I like, I run for it. That where I don't like, I run away from it. So our entire waking world is nothing but running. Either I am running for that which I like or running away from that which I don't like. As though our prarabdha has a sense of good humor in its irony. When I look around, all that which I don't like is all around me. All that which I don't like is right next to me. All that which I like is far away from me. Running away from here, running for something which I assume is something which I like. So what should the individual do? Manasa niyamya. The organs of perception should be under the balanced control of the individual. When I say control, don't think that I am asking you to completely shut it off. That is not the point. It has to function, but function in a channelized manner where it is serving a certain purpose. Whether it is eating, whether it is talking, whether it is interacting, whatever I do, I seem to be channelizing all my field of activities purely based on that which I like and that which I don't like. See, even the child, while growing up, every household would have had it. They have a small funnel kind of a small utensil. Usually that is used for dropping medicine into the mouth of the child. As soon as the child sees that on the side table there is that medicine bottle and that little funnel utensil, that child would start crawling away from that room. So you go catch hold of that fellow, bring him to that place, sit down properly, put your knees up, take the child. Seems to be a torturous process. Take the child up, put the body from knee down and the head knee up, so that there is an automated head swinging towards you. That in itself should pull the mouth apart. But the child knows this is not something which I like. Starts throwing tantrums. What does the diligent mother do? She has had earlier experience. She would take that medicine, pour it into that funnel utensil and hold it. The stopper is her finger. Hold it with her finger, insert the finger first into the mouth and then suddenly close the nose of the child, because the child also has become intelligent. If you don't, what will that child do? He will play a fountain of that medicine on your face. So you shut that nose and drop it in, and that fellow is throwing all tantrums, legs are going all places, crying on one side. Though it is good, that fellow doesn't like. Right from that age, even if you have had twins, you know for sure, both born from your own genetic coding, both born from the same womb with hardly a difference of 2 to 4 minutes, each one has a different mindset completely. One likes something. See, many people argue that it is nurture versus nature. It comes as the nature which is already ingrained, the vasanas are already ingrained. Right from that tiny tot age, the child already understands the patterns of that which they like, that which they don't like. One likes the milk only if it is fed warm. The other is carefree. However you feed first. And you are all more experienced than me. Isn't that true? Right from that age, likes and dislikes starts dictating terms as to what I should do or not do. The field of experience does not come under the purview of my like or my dislike. If it is to be done, it is to be done. But I don't like. Nobody asked. Nobody asked if you like it or don't like it. It has to be done, therefore it should be done. Why? It comes under the purview of my responsibility. And fulfilling these responsibilities, there is nobody out there that will appreciate you for fulfilling your responsibility. But that day when you forget fulfilling your responsibility, you will be censured. Let me take a very lame, foolish example. When my brother was young, he had a very strange logic sometimes. So we had gone to this Hyderabad zoo, very young, and we had come back home, and he was refusing to take shower or brush his teeth. And my mother was to her wit's end trying to convince him. And he had a logic. He was not throwing tantrums. He had a logic. What was the logic? No animal in the zoo, no lion, no tiger in the zoo takes shower or brushes its teeth. Therefore, I don't want to. If you don't fulfill that simple bodily activity, you will become a torture for everybody that is around you. You would start smelling bad. Your mouth will start smelling bad. Your body odor will be smelling bad. You will be a deterrent wherever you go. Just like to avoid the mosquitoes, we have these mosquito agarbattis these days. They are mosquito repellents. These people who do not fulfill that simple responsibility, they will become human repellent. देखते ही भागो, isn't it? If somebody says, I brush my teeth daily, nobody appreciates. Nobody will appreciate. As I said, I am taking a very silly example so that the concept is understood. Similarly, the other fields of responsibilities. Whatever is your field of work of responsibility, it is your responsibility, therefore you have to fulfill. It is not to be viewed from the perspective of whether I like it or dislike it. It has to be done, therefore it has to be done. But what if I don't like it? Buckle up your belt, straighten up your reed ki haddi, jump into that activity, finish it. Sometimes it might have an adverse effect. I was told that which you don't like. When thali is served, that which you don't like, eat it away first. That which you like, keep it to the end. We used to do that. We used to have mangoes. Whenever we would go to the village, we would have mangoes and we would have abundance of mangoes. We would get 2-3 mangoes. So the first thing that we do is taste all the 3 and then rank them. Which tastes the worst, which tastes the best. The best is for the last. I thought that it was only an example of Gurudev facing it. But that is true. That which you don't like, you eat first. All the loving mothers, they think, अरे बेचारे को बहुत पसंद आया, और डालो. See, these responsibilities have to be fulfilled because they are my responsibilities. Do I understand my role? Do I understand my responsibility? Not to be viewed, not to be perceived through the lenses of likes and dislikes. And each one of these organs of perception have to be tamed meticulously by us. My father's method was a little blunt, or today I would say bold. So once I was complaining. We used to live in a small apartment. This was in Bombay. So when in the evening he would come, he asked, did you finish your homework? I said, I didn't have a peaceful environment to finish it. So he washed his face. Usually he would wear a dhoti. He wore his pants again. I said, take your bag, take your homework, make sure that you have 2-3 pencils. And he left me at a bus stop. I'll finish my purchases of groceries and vegetables. By the time I come back, make sure that the homework is done. You are complaining that the house is not peaceful. This is what you get. And if you are not finished, no dinner tonight. Okay, no, you have to put all your effort. One thing that I understood at a later time, it is a mindset. It is a mindset that we have the capacity to control, but we become slaves of our own organs of perception and get completely distracted with the world of things and beings. So that is what is being invoked in this particular shloka, where Bhagavan shows in such beautiful, simple language. He says that Yastvindriyani manasa niyamya arabhate Arjuna karmendriyaihi karma yogam. Through that karma indriyas, what should be in control should be the organs of perception. What should be put into action? Organs of action. Diligently put them into that field of action. But how should your mind be? Asaktaha. This has already been introduced in the second chapter, 47th shloka, that do not get distracted by the results of your actions. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Not with the results. You perform diligently, results will anyway come. Just because you are feeling too anxious, it doesn't hurry up that result, or because you are negligent, the result doesn't delay. It will come in its own course. Do put your head in that particular action where your hands are and give a diligent job. Efficiently, effectively performing your duties, making sure that your mind is in balance. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Yogaha karmasu kaushalam. We have already seen in the second chapter. Asaktaha saha vishishyate. That person will excel both in the outside world as well as in the inside world. Such individual will certainly benefit. See, where is all this compulsion coming from? This distraction. It is not the world outside which is creating that compulsion. Last point on this. The world is not creating that compulsion. It is our own vasanas that are creating that pressure within. If that vasana is not properly channelized, it is like a pressure cooker who has that whistle on the top, that weight on the top, and there is a safety valve. If that pressure is not released, what will happen? A dangerous thing can happen. It will burst. We also from inside out psychologically burst if we do not know how to handle it, because the pressure is not from the outside field of things and beings. The pressure is purely because of my own vasanas. The vasanas trickle down as desires. Desires amplify, and that amplification creates that pressure, and it has to express as action. Gurudev gives a very beautiful example in this book. If ever you get an opportunity, read his description. See, in the earlier days, the DSLR, SLR cameras, not the SLR cameras, was a very rich profession, because the reels were costly, the processing was costly, the printing was costly, the lenses were costly. Those who are in the digital world or grown up only with the digital world do not understand it. Where every frame you had to think through, otherwise one frame would be wasted. See, as long as the lens is open to the world outside, there is nothing that happens to that reel inside. It is only when the aperture opens, there is that exposure given. That exposure will create an impression on that reel. Similarly, every single action that we perform in this world is forced through that vasana, and as the experience comes back, it again reinforces that vasana strongly into myself, if not handled properly. Therefore, asaktaha kuru, with a detached disposition. And one more line that can be added here is dedicating it to the highest altar. Once you learn how to do this, such individual excels in their life. Therefore, with this attitude, what should one do? The eighth shloka, please repeat loudly. नियतं कुरु कर्मत्वं. Very good. कर्मज्यायो ह्यकर्मणः शरीरयात्रापि च ते न प्रसिद्ध्येद कर्मणः. नियतं कुरु कर्मत्वम. Niyatam. Niyatam, that which you are ordained to do. Kuru, you have to continuously perform your actions. Niyatam kuru karmatvam. Karmajyayaha akarmanaha. In comparison to be not active in your field of responsibility, constantly being engaged in the field of activity with the earlier stated mindset is the one that always is prescribed as the greater path. What was the confusion that Arjuna had asked in the beginning of this chapter? Yena shreyoham apnuyam. That which is shreya, that vada nischatvam, that which is clear path for me, only that you suggest. So Bhagavan also is very clearly telling that which is your obligation, that which is your ordained responsibility, perform and perform that always. Niyatam kuru karmatvam. Karmajyayo hi akarmanaha. Better than the inaction is you constantly engaged in your field of activity. Even if you think you are not doing anything, you don't want to do anything, you will have to do at least sharira yatra pichate. You will have to take care of your own physical form. You have to take shower, you have to brush your teeth, you have to take shower, you have to put on clothes, you have to eat food. And if you are by yourself, you have to cook your food. For cooking that food, you have to get your things. Constantly, there has to be that activity at least. You cannot avoid the field of action. Many of us have this bhrama that I am waiting for that time in my life where there are no responsibilities for me to fulfill. In Hyderabadi Hindi, वैसा टाइम मिलेगा ही नहीं. Up until the last moment, till we quit this life, there will not be that moment where you have absolutely no responsibilities. If not anything else, you are responsible of taking care of this body. Sharira yatra. I mean, it's not a simple task. Of the time that we spend, how much time do we spend on this body? If you sit down to evaluate, taking shower, putting on clothes, getting ready, हर बार जब आप रेडी होते हो कितना टाइम लगता है? Asking you a question. 2 hours. Or because she is not there next to you today, half an hour. You get it ready at least twice a day, right? 1 hour gone. Food. Oh, yo. How much time do you take? If the food is cooked and ready, 15-20 minutes done. But if you have to get the grocery, cook the food, and then eat the food, then clean up, 1-1.5 घंटा तो गया. 3 times 1.5 hours. 4.5 hours. Plus 1 hour to get ready. Then to sleep. That is also take care of the body, right? 7 to 8 hours minimum. That is during the night. During the day, after a good fiesta, there has to be a good siesta. After a good meal, so average about 8 to 9 hours. दिन के आधे समय में हम केवल शरीर की ही देखभाल कर रहे हैं. Of the 24 hours that we have, how much time are we spending? More than half. 12-15 hours purely to take care of this body. Now what are you trying to say? That I have no responsibility? At least that you are spending more than half. You cannot avoid it. Very rare few examples that we have heard in, there is that small tiny book of Gurudev, his travelogue called My Trek Through Uttarakhand. When he walked from the Rishikesh all the way up, that book is an amazing read because his sense of humor is a very dry, witty humor. He says, we went for this Kali Kambliwala ashram for Bhiksha. They gave 2 rotis with the dal. The rotis had to be soaked in Gangaji so that it can be chewable. And then we dip that soaked roti in the dal in search of dal. And as we walked the entire afternoon, we were tired. So we stopped for having chai. Water boiled and spoiled to be called some brown liquid. His humorous way of putting it across. So in that book, he says that near Gangotri, after crossing Gangotri, they met this Baba who had completely now in constant meditative state. Somebody had to tap him to say that there were 2 people that were walking. So both of them had gone to see this Swamiji or Babaji. And they tapped that Babaji and said, these 2 people have come seeking your blessing. He had been sitting in that position, constantly lost in meditation for months at end. That in the joints, there were now abscesses because he had not moved, and there were, what do you call those worms? Maggots. Maggots developed, 1 or 2 fell, and he picked them up and said, body is meant for to be fed today or tomorrow. You continue today. Very rare few we find such Mahatmas. But for the rest of us, what is the reality, stark reality? We have to spend more than half of our day in taking care of this body. So that which is your activity, that which is in taking care of yourself, your field of responsibility, why do we have to feel that it is a burden? As soon as you hear the word Hindi में, Telugu में, whatever language, काम का बोझ, it is a burden. In Telugu, బరువు బాధ్యతలు. బాధ్యతలు అనగానే అదొక పెద్ద బరువు. See, you are carrying your own weight. If you are carrying someone else's, you can call it a burden. You are carrying your own weight. How can that be called as a burden? See, when you are trekking in the Himalayas, as long as you are carrying food on you, it starts weighing heavy. It becomes very heavy. And if you are going for an entire day or 2 days of trekking, then you have to carry at least 3-4 meals worth food. And as soon as that food, it is in Dvaita, now it goes inside, becomes Advaita, it is no more burden. That which is owned up by you, it will never be burden. Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam. Don't look at your own life every day morning. I have to wake up. I have to go again. I have to do again. So this child was crying in the morning. I don't want to go to school. Why? The mother asked. That fellow said, the children don't like me. Even the teachers don't like me. The mother said, enough of it. You are the principal. Go. It's your field of responsibility, not someone else's that you are trying to live. How can yours own be the... if you feel it as a burden, then you are being irresponsible towards yourself. In the field of activity, there are divisions. Nitya karma. Nitya karma, that which you have to do daily. For this Nitya karma, please don't look into the Panchanga. When is Rahu Kala, when is Durmuhurta, when is this? That is not for that purpose. For the Naimittika karma, you can look into the Panchanga. Otherwise, every day morning you will be having a towel on your shoulder, brush in your hand, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma all hanging. And I said, what? I am waiting for the good Muhurta so that I can brush and take shower. Hey, go take shower. For that you don't need Panchanga. For Nitya Karma, for daily repeated activities, you do not require Muhurta Kala. Naimittika Karma, something special. Probably that which is once in a lifetime, once in a year that you do. You build a house once in a lifetime. Therefore, the Shankusthapana, Muhurta, Graha Pravesha, Muhurta. You get married once in a lifetime, Muhurta Kala. You have the festivities once in a year, Parvadina. Muhurta Kala, in that particular time. When I went to US, one of the cultural shocks that I had was the festivals that we have to celebrate as a Hindu was conveniently being celebrated. Do you know when? You are almost correct. It is not the very next weekend. The next possible weekend. Clarity होना चाहिए ना. That was like the funny thing is, our own anniversaries, wedding anniversaries, birth anniversaries and such things, that has to be celebrated on that very day, wished on that very day, at least a flower given on that very day. Something special made, you go out something special celebrating, it has to happen that very day. Bhagavan can wait to the next possible weekend. Navratri's weekend, Krishnastami weekend. If our connection with that highest spiritual is on the weekend, therefore there is no strength. It is already weekend. It has to be done on that day, it has to be done on that day, period. Naimittika karma. The first one was Nitya karma, then the second one is Naimittika karma. Then Sakama karma, Nishkama karma. That which you are taking a sankalpa. I want to pursue this. I have taken a sankalpa. See, in Telugu there is a word. Kankanam kattukoni dukadu. What does that kankanam kattukodam? Every such act which you are taking a sankalpa, there is a raksha that you tie on your hand to remind you of the sankalpa that you have taken. The pluses and the minuses, the results of thereof are your responsibility, not just the field of action. Even the results and how you face those results is the field of your responsibility. Sakama karma. Nishkama karma. Doing it selflessly as an offering to the highest, without waiting for, without anticipating anything in return, not even a word of appreciation. Shabash. So in the Balavihar classes to the kids, when they have complained that nobody appreciates, I said, whenever you have done a good job. Do you know how to recognize it? There is immense satisfaction of having done it. The moment you recognize it, take your both hands, catch your own cheeks and then kiss yourself. For the kids. Raise your hand, turn it and apne aap apne ko shabashi de do. The outside world may not even recognize you doing it. Doesn't matter. Isn't that one of the things that always comes up in the familial arguments? Yanta chesina yavaru mechukoru. You're doing your duty, you're doing your job, you're fulfilling your responsibility. Nobody need appreciate in fulfilling your responsibility. Charai veti, you have to keep going on. That day when you raise up to that level wherein every single act of yours interacting with the world, it is done with this nishkama bhavana. Whether I do puja, whether I fulfill my responsibilities or duties or other obligations in the field outside, I have nothing to gain, not even an appreciation. It is all done as the service to the Supreme. Isn't that what we take the oath in our pledge? Service to the people is the service to the God of gods. And service to the nation is the service to the Supreme Self. Even in the organizational structure where Chinmaya Mission is supposed to be teaching this, at the end of every grand activity, Swamiji, I think we should appreciate. All these that have to be appreciated are our own volunteers. In my mind, like we have to drill this message more. It is not for the appreciation. It is the act of dedication. Nishkama bhavana. Nitya karma, Naimittika karma, Sakama karma, Nishkama karma. There is last karma. What is that last one? Nishiddha karma, vihita karma. It has both words. You can call it Nishiddha karma or Vihita karma. Hita, that which is auspiciously good for everyone. Vihita, there is no such auspiciousness for the one that is doing or to the one that is being done unto. Such ones one should not engage in. Such ones one should not be indulging in. One should snap it right at the bud without it taking ugly formats of expression. In Yuva Kendra class, one fellow asked me this question. Swamiji, isn't it that whenever these vasanas come, we have to diligently express it, otherwise bottling it up, it will become suppression. Therefore, I have all these vices and I am indulging in it without bottling it. They are called Vihita karma. Very clearly stated, Nishiddha karma. Should not be engaging in it. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha. You can go on. Multiples of it. As soon as you recognize it, one has to have the courage and the strength to nip it at bud and not allow it take its ugly shape. Understanding this, perform your field of responsibility with regularity, with consistency. But what should be the attitude? The attitude as stated in the last shloka. Asaktaha kuru. With a detached disposition, perform the actions. Continuing. There is one more concept or idea. Many commentators, there are several commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. The highest number of commentaries that are available on any work, any generated work in the globe, the highest number of commentaries is on Bhagavad Gita. There is a whole floor in Banaras Hindu University which is dedicated in getting all these compilations of various authors commenting on Bhagavad Gita. That whole floor is filled with only Bhagavad Gita commentaries. So some commentators, instead of giving this widely applicable idea, they interpret it as only the Yajna karma. There is Nitya karma, Nitya Anusthana that you have to do, where Nitya Agnihotri, you have to do the Nitya Agnihotra. And then sometimes special, Naimittika, Yaga, Homa, Yaga. There are certain things that are done with certain sankalpa, sakama. For example, that which Dasharatha did. What was the yaga that he performed? Kameshti yaga, Ishti. And what was the Ishti that he had, that sankalpa? Putra Kameshti. For that he had to be qualified for it. You have to be a grihastha. As a brahmachari or as a sannyasi, I cannot go and say I have to do Putra Kameshti. Danda leke marenge. You have to be necessarily a grihastha to perform Putra Kameshti. But there is a sankalpa, sakama yajna. There are various loka kalyanartham. The various nishkama yagas are also performed. That is for loka kalyanartham. But to limit these shlokas and meanings only for that yajna karma would be stopping the grand meaning of it, which is applicable in vast varied aspects of life. We would lose the purposefulness of that which Bhagavan has indicated. I mean, this point, even Adi Shankaracharya ji in his commentary mentions it very clearly that its application is far wider. Cannot limit it to, it may be applicable to that, but it does not limit to only that. So, continuing, because we start with that entire example, so it should not lead to only that aspect of meaning of yajna, meaning only homa, havana. There is a different, amazing depth that is given here. Let us look into the 9th shloka. Yajnarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangas samachara. So far we have seen that karma builds vasana, vasana again triggers into desires, desires again trigger into action. So it becomes karma bandha. That is anyatra. That is when you don't apply this siddhanta. What is the siddhanta? Yajnarthat karmanaha tadartham he kaunteya karma mukta sangas samachara. If you do not perform this with this yajna bhava, then it becomes karma bandha. I love Bhagavan Adi Shankaracharya ji's commentary on this. He says, Yajno vai Vishnuhu. Yajna itself means Vishnu. Tadartam karma. Therefore, whatever karma that you are doing, try doing it with the attitude and intensity that it is being done only for that Ishvara alone. Ishvarartham eva. So, yajnarthat karmanonyatra means whatever activity that we are doing, every single details of every activity that I am engaged in, however insignificant that act may be or however elaborate that act may be, every single act is an act as a dedication to that Ishvara alone. This should be our sankalpa. Whatever activity, every engagement, seeing, pashyan, shrunvan, sprushan, jigran, ashnan, gachan, swapan, swashan, pralapan, visrajan, granhan, unmishan, nimishan, napi. Every single movement, even at the body level, has to be as an act of dedication to that Ishvara alone. That wherever I am interacting with the other human, it is not to be seen as the other human, it is pratyaksha, that Bhagavan alone. To that Bhagavan, whatever I am doing is the service. Once this attitude is ingrained in my head, in my understanding, there is no fear of otherness, there is no jugupsa, hatred about otherness. There is only an opportunity that every single act that I am performing is purely the act of directly to that Bhagavan in that form. Whether you are serving the husband, wife, children, in-laws, outlaws, whoever you are serving, everything becomes an act of dedication. This is one meaning. Another meaning is at Vyashti and Samashti. So first let's look at the Vyashti. Vyashti meaning at the individual level. Whenever I am performing, there has to be such implicit coordination between all the organs of perception, action, mind, intellect, processing. Everything has to fall in place for an act to be performed. Isn't it? Now, as I am walking out, right? Now that it has become our second nature, we don't even think about it. Supposing it rained, rainy season, so it will rain. Supposing it rained. From here to the door, you may walk in good stride. But as soon as you see that the floor is wet, you start now cautiously putting your foot. How much of coordination is happening inside? What is the angle of contact? Every movement becomes a study of physics in motion. At what angle is the contact? At what speed? Because sometimes I think I am putting very cautiously, but having put the foot, I realize, oops. And before I can take any control, gravity does its job. Third. What happened? The floor was slippery and I slipped. Knowing that, how carefully do we walk? All the organs, all the mind and its presence, the processing that has to be involved, every aspect of it is being taken care of. Meaning it is a yajna bhava karma, it is a well coordinated act where several components have to be coming in place for that act to be fulfilled. Very egotistically, I take the credit that I am doing, but there are all these individuals which involuntarily by reflex they are functioning. Breathing. How conscious are you about your breathing? Every time I think of this concept, we have to be thankful. See, Bhojana, Bhagavan has put as a voluntary choice. You cook, you prepare, you eat, you clean up. Imagine if that was the job with breathing. Thankfully, he has put it as involuntary process. And when you look into the physiology as explained in Charaka Samhita and others, there is Ida, there is Pingala, two nostrils, two channels. Not always both are open, other than Brahma Muhurta Kala. At one given particular time, there is the right one will keep functioning, left one seems to be blocked. Sometimes the left one is open, the right one is blocked. Why does that happen? This air breathing process, one is Surya Nadi, the other is Chandra Nadi. One heats the system, one cools the system. We were not even aware of it. अपने आप चल रहा था, but it was well coordinated at the Vyashti level. This well coordinated, dedicated act, when everything is put together, that is called Yajna Bhava Karma at the Vyashti. At Samashti, many of us claim, I am self-made man. अच्छा, अपने आप पैदा हो गए. All this that you see, I created. Nothing of that claim is ever true. For a simple morsel of meal that is there right in front of us for to eat, how many hours, how many thousands of people have put effort for that little morsel of food to be there in front of you. You and I cannot do that kind of hard work. To till the land, to put everything in a, have you ever worked in the field? It's a laborious task. Morning 4 o'clock they leave. They come back in the evening 4:35. hot sun. You and I would love to be sitting in front of AC or at least a fan. वहां पे वो कुछ नहीं है, तपती धूप, and they have to run their bullocks or the tractor, plow the land, then plane the land, and then till and then create those grouts, then water it, prep everything. Not every time that he puts the effort, everything comes to his hand. Sometimes there is drought, sometimes there is tufan. Right about the time when they are about to pluck the yield, they have already plucked the yield, they have ready to thrash it. Sudden rains, the entire crop goes waste. After that much of sweat, toil and blood in that, then we get a grain on our table and we claim that we are self-made. The clothes that you are wearing, the cloth that we are wearing, and nowadays we say something about local, the local market and local things. So, Swamiji, nothing in the machine, it's all hand woven, handloom. You know how much difficult it is to weave? To bring that thread, again from the farmer, to bring that cotton, to bring that silk, to bring that wool, whatever is the material, then to weave all of it, so that I can drape on myself. And I claim I am a self-made man. Kuch to laaj karo. That which I eat, that which I live in, that which I wear, that which I go about, nothing of it is made by me from scratch. If that were the case, that we have to start everything from scratch, all that we would have been doing all life long is only scratching. Nothing would have been done. How many people with how many different skill sets have to come together for you and I to survive? Where is the attitude of gratitude towards all those scores of people? When all of these people put their individual efforts, and there are some, their audacity is, but we pay them. Acha bachu, I will also pay you. Start doing that same kind of work. We will be incapacitated. Thankfully, each one of those with their skill sets are doing. Therefore, we can only claim that we are not independent, we are interdependent. Each one has to fulfill their responsibility for me to be able to even survive. Yajnarthat. All of these people with different skill set, different mindsets, different capacities have to come together to put that effort to bring this yield with which I can make a living, a morsel on my table to eat, to enjoy, to cherish, to survive. Every single thing that we do, it's not independent, it is interdependent. So many different factors. Therefore, our ancestors recognizing this, they said every single time that you eat food, have 5 morsels of it put aside, so that what you eat, whatever you are cherishing, has to be given to the Prakriti, to the Bhuta also, to the crows, to the Pakshi. On a hot summer day, if somebody gives you a cool glass of water, how thankful do we feel? Do we not? Anybody walks into our house, don't we say, మంచినీళ్ళు కావాలా? చల్లగా. The birds, the other animals, that is also expression of Narayana. It is not that whatever I have earned, I only have to eat. Not even a morsel has to be wasted, not even a grain has to be wasted. Don't be selfish. It is our responsibility to care for them as well. It is not the individual and the individual's effort alone that we can survive. So many other factors have to come into picture for me to even survive, let alone thrive. And when everybody puts that effort, that is when I can say I am able to live. Yajnarthat karmanaha tadartham karma kaunteya. Therefore, it is not just about your desire, your act and your results. You performing, you are contributing to that totality because of which you are living. Therefore, you giving back is equally important. If this attitude is not ingrained, then that kind of karma makes it karma bandha. You get bound in that karma because there is no such gratitude in that heart. What a beautiful concept. Last 3 shlokas have been that way, like wave of one after the other, inspired thought given. After listening to this, we should not be claiming ever. We should be thankful that every time that I pray, one aspect of my prayer should go for the well-being of everyone. Therefore, in our prayers, we have not been, our rishis have not been selfish. What do they pray? What is the prayer? Sarve janaha sukhino bhavantu. Ma kaschit, not just human being, not any other creature, may they undergo dukkha. It has become a mechanical chore. Sarve bhavan sukhna, sarve bhavan done. The meaning behind it, the bhava with which you have to say it. That I have to be thankful for all of these people so that me living is becoming a possibility. For whatever I am. Isn't it that my ancestors, my parents, that I have to be thankful to? To my teachers, gurus, the rishis, my thankfulness to all the humanity that is doing what they have to do in proper time, appropriate time, that I am able to survive. This thankful attitude, now join it with a comprehensive collective endeavor with a thankful attitude, constantly performing my bit into that totality is the yajna bhava karma. Is there a scope for selfishness there once this attitude is understood? Can there be a scope of me, my desires, my fulfillment, my effort, my turf? My empire, for me to claim mine? So many factors have to come into picture. Once, as I was saying this, in this particular meaning, one very elderly person, he came and said, Swamiji, I think you also need to include all the millions of freedom fighters since 1857 up until 1947 that they have dedicated their lives and given their lives up for you and me to have this freedom. we should be thankful to them also. I said, I will make sure that I will include them also in the list. Otherwise, do you think you and I had the freedom to sit and talk about Bhagavad Gita? There was no possibility. Now, if the heart is filled with this thankfulness, wherever the heart is filled in the rasa of thankfulness and gratitude, worries and anxieties cannot take grip of that kind of heart. If worries and anxieties are taking grip of my heart, it means I am being thankless. Now, with this attitude, when we perform, such one muktaha eva, then they will raise up to become completely liberated, free from all attachments. But that attitude has to be drilled down deep into our conscience, that we remember through and through every single act of our life. Now, before anybody could ask, Swamiji, Bhagavan Krishna is suggesting this to all of us. What about the other realm? How is the other realm? So, Bhagavan Krishna includes that also. He says in the 10th shloka, Saha yajñah praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadvam yeshavostvishta-kamadhak. Saha yajñah praja srishtva puro vacha prajapatihi pura uvacha prajapatihi anena prasavishyadvam yesha vaha tvishta-kamadhak ishta-kamadhak. Saha yajñah prajaha srishtva. Kena srishtva? Prajapati srishtva. Having created this creation, that Prajapati, Brahmaji, created what? Saha yajñah, with this attitude right from the beginning of the creation. And created all these different creatures. 84 lakh varieties of species. Srishtva, that Prajapati uvacha to the entire creation. What did he say? The first assembly of all that were created, the address of Brahmaji to them. What was the first note of address? He said, this yajna bhava karma is your ishta kamadhak, is your kamadhenu. And the entire creation follows this implicitly even to this day. The Subhashita captures this thought very beautifully. Paropakarartham vahanti nadyaha phalanti vrikshaha. Every aspect of this creation moves in helping only others. If you have a garden and in the garden you have some fruit giving plants, have you ever seen the fruit giving plant ever save its own good fruits so that it can eat for itself? When I do something, I take something for myself and for those that I consider as mine. The rest of it I can, okay, fine. Is there any swartha in the nature with regards to anything? Does the river ever say, touch me not, chi chi chi? You dirty fellow. The mother river embraces everybody. Punitah Kritva. Purifies anybody that comes in. It's only the filmy style where से राम तेरी गंगा मैली हो गई. गंगा कभी रोती नहीं है कि मैं मैली हो गई. And yet gives back to the society. If somebody were to come to your house, or okay, let me put it this way. If you were to go to somebody's house because it was their some anniversary, you take a gift, you have gone with family, you ring the bell. As soon as you enter, they pounce upon you, hit you with sticks, fist, snatch that gift and kick you out. Imagine. Play with me. Imagine. Would you ever go back to that house ever again? You would in fact not go, but along with that you would even warn others. पगला गए हैं, मत जाओ. बोलोगे कि नहीं? Isn't that normal, natural? Yes, no? हाँ. कभी कभी है ना, you keep staring. I don't know if I have communicated what I have to communicate or not. तो कभी कभी सर हिला दीजिए. हाँ. Whenever the tree gives fruit, how do we treat that tree? For who is that fruit? For you and me. How do we treat that tree? डंडे से मारा, पत्थर से मारा. In order to pull that fruit towards me, I broke several leaves, several branches, several twigs, snatched that fruit. And look at the benevolence. Come next year again. Does the tree and all these that which we sustain upon have their union? Fruit giving tree union. You misbehaved with me last year. No fruits for you this year. कभी कुछ बोलता है? Bountifully it comes, luxuriously bringing out the flowering and the fruiting and gives everything, every bit of it back to you again. And here we are. If our effort, that which is my responsibility, is not appreciated by the family members and those that for who I do, if it is not appreciated, अरे लंका लगा देंगे हमारे घर पे. Why should I do that? That is your responsibility, Baba. The entire nature gives. There is a tiny little book written by Gurudev as letters to children, called I Love You Letters. It's a meditative book. Every line you can sit and meditate upon. Very fulfilling book. There he says, all this confusion comes. There are two statements that he says there which are very, very powerful. When love is thick, rules and regulations are thin. When rules and regulations are thick, it definitely means that love is thin. In every interaction, why is there this confusion of anticipation, expectation? Love is getting thin. The second statement, you can give without love. If somebody is pestering you, you can give without loving. But you can never love without giving, without sharing, without sacrificing. The entire nature follows that dictum as laid down by Brahmaji right since the beginning of the creation. Sahayajnah praja srishtva purovacha prajapatihi. Anena prasavishadvam, supporting each other, giving yourself to the others, supporting them to thrive. You support each other and thrive thus. This yajna bhava spirit to come together selflessly, to give your best into that so that everyone thrives. This attitude is your kamadhenu. Rest of the creation understands. Whoever said it, that we the human beings are the zenith, the topmost of the creation. It is only we who have to be educated again and again and again that we are missing this point. Anena prasavishyadvam eshavaha astu ishtakamadhak. May this become our kamadhenu. Kamadhenu, that which Vasishtha had, that which Vishwamitra wanted, that which could fulfill any desire. Now imagine, if all of us individually mark and change, thus collectively we come together with this changed attitude, what beauty can be brought out into this world? But we want to sit on the couch, expect that the change is brought by somebody else so that I can cherish. Until then, I am the commentator, couch potato commentating. इस दुनिया तो कुत्ते की दुम की तरह है, उसको कोई सुधार नहीं सकता. What is your contribution? How selflessly have you been contributing? Because everything in nature is trying to point and teach. It is not about you, it is about us. That attitude when shifted, then it will yield bountiful, undoubtedly. Provided we are ready to let go the petty little puny ego that we are, to let go of it, come together to bring our best to that togetherness so that the entirety, the totality can thrive. और हम लोग है कि आस लगाए बैठे हुए हैं आज भी, यवरो वस्तारनी ये दो चेस्तारनी, आएगा आएगा. हर लैंग्वेज में गा सकता हूं मैं उस भाव को. We keep waiting for someone else. If not someone else, very devoted person will say, I am waiting for Avatara to come. ऐसे वैसे नहीं चाहिए, directly Bhagwan should come and repair this. So much of atrocities happening. Why is it Bhagwan not taking avatar now? Why are you not allowing him to express through you to become that avatar? We'll continue tomorrow. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayaha, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet, Asato Ma Satgamaya, Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Amritangamaya. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate, Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Before we get up, two things I wanted to request. One, if you do have a Bhagavad Gita copy, please bring it so that we all can chant, lead and repeat format. Second, unlike the other Indian Hindu programs where if they say it will start at 6:30, they may start by 7:30. Because by the time everybody joins and everybody comes in, they keep waiting. And we very proudly call it IST. Indian शर्म आना चाहिए बोलने के लिए. Indian stretchable time. Yeah. But at least here we start at 6:30 and stop precisely at 8 o'clock. So if you are planning to come ahead of time and be here by 6:25 in your seats occupied. Because in last month and this month I see people trickling in and trickling in and trickling in. मुझे दुख होता है कि so much of content is already said. अब उनको the patchwork is not given and they are suddenly joining in the middle. They miss out a lot. So please come ahead of time so that it will be more fruitful. Thank you. Hari Om.